Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I, Mikah Sargent, share some apps that will help you keep up with information. Yes, it's reference apps on this episode of iOS Today. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is iOS Today, episode 682, with Rosemary Orchard and Mikah Sargent, recorded Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. Reference apps. Look that up. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Secure My Email. Secure My Email provides easy encryption for your current personal and business email addresses. Setup takes only minutes. Start your free account or enjoy a 30-day free trial of a premium plan, no payment info required. And they have a special offer for Twit listeners. Visit securemyemail.com/twit and use code TWIT at checkout. And by Mylio. Mylio Photos is a smart and powerful system that lets you easily organize, edit, and manage years of important documents, photos, and videos in an offline library hosted on any device. Check out their limited time holiday gift bundle for a 25% discount on Mylio Photos Plus at mylio.com/twit25. Hello and welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, HomePodOS, tvOS, and all the OSs Apple has on offer. You've got these great Apple devices, and we want to help make sure that you can make the most of those devices, that you are using them to their full ability, to the fullest extent. We talk about services, apps, subscriptions, tips, all sorts of stuff here on iOS Today. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard. I'm very excited to talk about one of my favorite categories of apps because, yes, Mikah, I am that kind of nerdy girl. I love reference apps. I love looking things up. I love learning new things. And so, yeah, this episode is going to make me very, very happy.
Yeah, I think this is a great time, right? I tend to be, a great time of year, I tend to be personally a bit of a nerd as well, like a trivia nerd, a person who, when I'm having conversations with people, something pops into my head and I'm going, did you know that this, and this happened? Or this relates to this topic? And sometimes, you'll get a blank stare, but for the most part, it tends to be a pretty fun exchange. And so I thought, given that we're reaching the end of the year and people gather around at this time of year, it could be the opportunity for you to pick up on some stats and facts and whatnot, but it's also a good time when you have that family member or friend who, with their whole heart, is certain that what they're saying is true, and you are certain that what they're saying is not true, that you can look it up and make sure that you have the actual facts in front of you to prove that assertion they're making about some person who is in a show or some I don't know, protein that you are sure is not folded a certain way. I don't know. I'm imagining like scientists talking with one another. Surely that's what they argue about. Anyway, lots of reference apps available, and I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about it. I want to start with one that is almost always near the top charts in reference, and I'm not surprised to see it there. It's a little app called Google Translate. Many of you have probably heard of Google Translate. It is available for free in the App Store, so you can download it. And what's great about Google Translate is it has so many different translation features. So along with the ability to, of course, type in something in one language and have it translated into another, you can also do things like take a photo of a sign that has something written in a different language and have that translated for you. In many cases, it will actually change the text right there on the poster or the sign and show it to you as if it was in your language, which is really cool. It also has a conversation feature where if you were trying to have a conversation with someone who speaks a different language, you can talk into the microphone on your phone and then have the other person hear it translated into their language and then speak into the microphone on your phone and then have it translated into your language. You can paste text, and one of my favorite features is the ability to detect a language. So let's say that I am trying to translate into English and I see a phrase that is written in a language that I don't recognize, I can choose detect language. And when I type it in, Google Translate will do its best to determine what language it is that you've typed in, and then translate it for you. And what's great too is that you have the ability to, in many cases, actually hear out loud an estimate of the pronunciation. I will say it's not always incredibly accurate, so you shouldn't necessarily take it as given that it is a certain way. But let's say I wanted to say, that is a lovely turkey you roasted, and I want to say it in German. So it was translating live as I was typing. I didn't even have to hit enter, but if I hit enter, then it gives me a few more controls, including the ability in the bottom left corner to have it play back.
Den du gebraten hast.
And let me do that one more time.
Das ist ein herrlicher Truthahn, den du gebraten hast.
And what Google Translate will also do is when you play text and you immediately play it again, it will do it one time quickly and then one time slowly so that you can pronounce it. Now, Rosemary, I believe you know some German. What do you rate this translation?
I mean, it's correct. It is technically correct. It is an interesting pronunciation. It is not any pronunciation I would ever expect to hear a German speaker come out with. It's very slow and so on, which definitely doesn't help. Of course, naturally, I speak very quickly, regardless of what language I'm speaking. But I'm not sure I would go with herrlich. If I was speaking German, I'd probably go with leckeres, which is delicious and wonderful, or something. So, das ist ein leckeres Truthahn, das du gebraten hast, or something like that. So not quite the same, but very close. It's one of these things, whenever you're translating, you don't necessarily want to type in the words that you would use. You kind of want to pre-translate some words that okay, so I wouldn't use the word lovely, I'd use delicious or tasty or something, because lovely could be something that's cute and beautiful, rather than something that tastes good and wouldn't necessarily apply to food. You'd say that that's a beautiful painting. You wouldn't necessarily say that the turkey itself is beautiful. Though, of course, your presentation might be fabulous.
Yes, so then this...
Das ist ein köstlicher Truthahn, den du gebraten hast.
And it's also worth pointing out something when you are doing a translation. I have kind of, the syntax of this sentence is important. And I have complicated things by saying that there is a delicious turkey that you roasted. And so
you're using the passive voice.
Exactly. Yeah. So, there are things that you want to keep in mind. So you can say, you made a delicious turkey, which is a much simpler way of saying it and helps whenever something that's, this is not a human being who's trying to translate this. And so it's doing its best based on what you give it. That would help in terms of doing that. So there are some tips to go along with it. The last thing I'll point out here with Google Translate is technically you can do it with any language, but particularly if you are working with a language that has an alphabet that is different from yours or uses like character-based languages, there is a little sketch option. And so you can write out things and be able to use that to help translate what you are saying. So very cool, available entirely for free in the App Store. So you can check that out. Now, there is, of course, also a built-in translation app from Apple. I have used it and it's fine. It's newer, and so it still has its, things that it needs to work out, I would say. Google Translate has been around for a lot longer, and Google has been kind of working on translation for a long time. But the built-in translation that Apple provides, of course, has kind of integrations within the system, so it may be worth using. It does have the translation of a conversation, and of course, in the background, the the system that is translating, web pages or translating different bits of text, that's all coming from the same source. So if you're used to using that, then the Translate app from Apple itself may be something that you want to look at. All right. Let's go to, you know what? I know what we'll talk about next. This is an interesting one because it's not necessarily an app that you're going to use with whenever you're trying to get information from another person per se, or maybe even share information with another person. But if you have ever yourself or maybe a family member collected coins, this next app I also found ranked really high in the references category of the App Store. It's an app called CoinSnap. And what it does is it helps you to identify and keep a catalog of the coins you have. So before the show, I asked to borrow a coin, and John Slanina had one available to me. So I'll show you, this is the main screen of the app. And if you're listening as opposed to watching, it's a pretty simple screen. It's kind of a yellow to white gradient, and you have two options at the top, including identify and grading, and then some collections where you can kind of create your own set, and then there's also conversation, which is the news of kind of what different coins may be worth and what coins kind of other coin collectors are talking about. So what I'm going to do is down at the bottom, I'm going to tap the camera button to bring up the camera. And what you're meant to do is show a coin, or actually bring a coin into the circle on the screen. And so I will get close to this quarter here, and I will take a photo, boop, and then I will turn over the coin to capture the reverse side. And I want to do it with it, and it will automatically rotate, but I just want to go ahead and rotate it, and we'll snap that photo. And now it is looking at the coin and comparing it to the library. It is the USA Apostle Island quarter from 2018. It is indeed. The year is 2018. The variety of the coin is 2018D copper nickel plated copper, and the grade of the coin is average condition. So it did this based on what it saw of the coin in terms of, how scuffed or scratched it is, how the light is reflecting off of it. And you can choose to change the grade from poor, fair, about good, good, very good, fine, very fine, extremely fine, about uncirculated, or mint state. And in this case, we went with average condition. You can change the variety. I'm sticking with that, given that it is, a sort of standard there. You can learn based on the mint mark where it came from, whether it was a proof or a non-proof, and then also, how valuable it is. I don't know why I could not get that word out. And then we'll choose check, and then we're kind of looking at it. Interestingly, if you had a mint version of the coin, it would be worth 67 cents to $1.30. It's a price for the average condition would be 58 cents to $1.60, which is fascinating given that it is a quarter. So it's, I guess, official value is 25 cents, but apparently it could be more. And then they show some other versions of the coin, including, so I think this is perhaps the one we just took, but this second version here shows it in official kind of mint state, fresh out of the mint. And so you can see its variety. You can learn about the physical features, including the edge of the coin, its thickness, its diameter, its weight, what is written on it, and then I will tap to add that to my collection, and I will just go ahead. There are little options here, including its variety, which we already have set. If I want to add it to a special set, maybe I'm collecting state coins, the value that I believe it's worth, and then its grade, and I can also add more information, but I'm just going ahead to add it to my base collection of coins. And now it asks, hey, can you rate whether or not we did a good job of identifying the coins. Now I can tap at any time and kind of go back to that coin. And as I add more, they will all show up here. It will show my total value of the coins that I have, the countries from which the coins come, and how many coins I have. So over time, you can kind of add to this. And yes, it's not just US coins. It's currency from all over. So I wanted to mention that, A, because it's ranked so highly in the references chart, but B, because I know a lot of folks who either have coin collections of their own or have family members who collect coins. And, I think I have a few foreign coins that I'd like to add into my little collection here. And I think it's a really neat app. It's available for free in the App Store. There is an in-app purchase of, I believe it was $5.99 a year, which gives you the ability to store many more coins in your collection than you would otherwise be able to. So yeah, check out CoinSnap, which will help you identify coins and keep a catalog of the coins that you have. All right. Rosemary, why don't you share an option?
Yeah, so one of the ones I want to share is actually it's a two-parter because I'm going to cheat, because why wouldn't I cheat, right? I always like cheating. So one of the features I want to mention is the fact that built into iOS and iPadOS and also macOS, there's a dictionary. You can be anywhere on the internet, anywhere in Pages, Keynote, Mail, whatever. And somebody's written a word and you're there going, I don't know what this word means. Or I think I know what it means, but I'm not sure I know what it means in this context. Well, if you tap and hold on a word anywhere, then there's a couple of options that pop up. So there's copy for copying it. Find selection, so you can find where this word appears again on the page. That can be really useful for looking something up somewhere where they have references. And then there's also lookup. And when I tap on lookup, it looks it up in the dictionary built into my iPhone. And this is really lovely. And it'll tell me, the definitions and some synonyms, some ways to pronounce it based on variations of the phonetic alphabet. The fact that it's a noun, because I looked at the word accessory, but there's also accessory as an adjective in here. And I can also see some Siri suggested websites and so on and so forth for it. And I love the fact that this is built into iOS and I can just look up words anywhere. But sometimes I want to look up a word and I don't necessarily know how to spell the whole thing. Or I think that there's a variation of a word, but I'm not sure about it. And so I kind of just want to start typing it. And this is where one of my favorite apps, Terminology, which is $1.99 from Agile Tortoise, comes in, because I can just tap into the search and I can start typing something and I will see auto completion options. And there we go. So I typed in Michael and it suggested Michaelmas and Michaelmas daisy, which is what I actually wanted to look up. And it tells me that the Michaelmas daisy is a North American perennial herb having small autumn blooming purple or white or pink flowers. And it's widely naturalized in Europe. The fact that it's got purple flowers might be the reason why I love it. And I looked it up. But yeah, I love Terminology. It's very simple. It works, which is of course what you want. It's only $1.99 to download. It's got options to play the word so that you can hear it. There's options to make notes on words. You can favorite words. You can look up words using the built-in dictionary as well. You can also look things up on Wikipedia, look it up on Google. There's a copy button so that I can copy it to my clipboard. And then I can also look it up on Etim Online, so find out the root of the word. I can look it up on IMDb, Wolfram Alpha, Google, Wikipedia, Wiktionary, Wordnik, and I can also edit my actions. And so I can, have more options in here if I want to. So there's buttons, there's menus, I can move things around, I can add more. I can go nuts with this. I can be super nerdy, or I can just never ever customize it and be very happy that it's here. There are a couple of options to do things like change the app icon and so on. But overall, it's just a very simple, solid dictionary that I really like. And so if you're trying to look up something like positive something and you're there going, okay, I want to see what things end after, what word options are there after I've typed positive, then I can see that there's obviously positive, positively, positiveness, positivism, positivist, positivistic, positivity, and so on. And I find this is really good for checking whether or not there's a particular form of a word that I've been looking for. And then going from there when I'm really stuck and I'm trying to solve a crossword puzzle, but I don't want to actually cheat and just Google the clue. And I've got most of the way there by myself. Terminology is one of those apps I turn to.
Nice. All right. I think it is time that we take a quick break before we come back with some more reference apps that you can use to amuse and excite and entertain those around you. I do want to tell you about Secure My Email, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. It's the email encryption service we've all been waiting for. We use email for important personal and business communication. Unfortunately, though, traditional email severely lacks the security and the privacy we require on today's internet. Encrypting email solves these issues, and it's too complicated without Secure My Email. PGP and SMIME are antiquated, complicated, cumbersome, one user at a time, exchange keys type setups. Secure My Email allows you to enjoy the simplicity and utility of email with the privacy and security of modern encryption. You can send and receive encrypted emails on all of your devices, Mac, Windows, Android, and iOS. Secure My Email uses a variety of security and encryption methods, including OpenPGP and the Cha-Cha-20 Poly 1305 cipher suite to encrypt your email. You can make your email fully HIPAA and GDPR compliant with Secure My Email. And there's no need to change anything. That's what makes this so fantastic. You can encrypt your current email addresses, both personal and business, without any need to change email addresses or providers. You're welcome to use Secure My Email's apps to manage your email, or keep using your current setup and just use Secure My Email when you need to. Secure My Email, it's super easy to set up and use. They've hidden all the complicated encryption. I set it up on my phone. I was able to send emails and had no problem with the process at all. The recipient, who also happened to be me, had no problem responding to those emails either from a different email. Secure My Email's free forever plan lets you encrypt a single consumer email address from Gmail, Yahoo, Microsoft, and more. It's an instant download with activation with no payment info, registration, or call required. And for paid plans, pricing is only $3.99 a month or $29.99 a year per user, allowing up to 8 email addresses, business or personal, per individual user. Start your free account or enjoy a 30-day free trial of a premium plan, no payment info required. And they have a special offer for Twit listeners. Visit securemyemail.com/twit and use the code TWIT at checkout. That's securemyemail.com/twit with the code TWIT. Thank you, Secure My Email, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. All right, we are back from the break, and we've got some more reference apps to talk about. The next one I want to mention is an app that you may have heard of. We've talked about it on the show before as well. But as we are... As you know, as time goes on, sometimes these apps kind of fall by the wayside and you may have forgotten about them, but also they bear mentioning again. And the app that I'm talking about that is a great reference app is called Night Sky. Night Sky is an app that lets you understand the sky above. So here I am in the app, and first and foremost, what I'm presented with is a kind of horizon line. And as I'm moving my phone around, you can, if you're watching, you'll see me moving my phone. If you're listening, I am moving my phone. And as I move it around, I can change the adjustment of my phone to see where in the sky I may find different things, like the moon or the constellation Leo or some sort of, let me get out of this. There was the Starlink 5806, I guess, that I had tapped on. And so I have the ability to use AR if I'd like to see more about it. Now, it's kind of hard to look around and not tap on a Starlink thing because Elon is constantly launching Starlink stuff. But what I was trying to tap on was this rocket body here, and learn more about whatever that is. But this is showing like a live orbit of these different objects in the sky. And I don't know, maybe it's too far away, and so I'm having trouble tapping on it, but I really wanted to see about that rocket body. In any case, what I'll do too is swipe up and take a look at some of this other information. So it knows I'm in Petaluma. I gave it the ability to know my location. And it says, tonight in Petaluma, there are fair stargazing conditions. The best time to look up at the stars is 6 o'clock p.m., I'm guessing. And then you can learn a little bit more, including adding to your calendar kind of a notification to say, hey, this is the best time to look at it. I'm going to choose don't allow for now just so it doesn't get in the way. But you can see the different events. So the sun sets at 4:50 p.m. Mercury, I guess that means Mercury moves out of view. I'm not sure. There's a down arrow at 6:04 p.m. Do you know what that might mean, John?
Mercury's always real close to the sun.
Okay, so
it's either preceding the sun or following the sun or buried in the sun.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I imagine that little, and I don't know how to uncheck a box, but anyway, you can also see the Starlink string moving across the ISS. You might be able to spot, of course, a lot of this is going to require telescope. And then of course you've got the different constellations that you can view. You see the sunset, the sunrise, temperature, humidity. I mean, it's everything you need to know when it comes to being able to view different items, different objects rather, that are in the sky. There's a lot more to it. So there is the ability to do these kind of live sky tours, to view the night sky museum, to also do connected stargazing, which is where you and other people in the group can work together to spot different stars. And what I think is great about this, though, ultimately, is that I could walk outside at night, especially if I go to a place that doesn't have a whole lot of light pollution, hold out my phone, move it around, and then look past my phone and see, oh, there's that star, that star, that star. Those connect, and that makes Camelopardalis, which doesn't look like a camel, but instead looks like a giraffe. So that's interesting. But I just think that's so cool that, you've got this, the ability to just look into the night sky and actually see the constellations and spot them and know what they look like. So I really recommend checking out Night Sky. It's available for free with in-app purchases that give you access to a lot more features. Some of the AR stuff is locked behind the purchase, but the basic features of the app you are able to use with just the download. So a pretty cool app that if you've ever wanted to see some of the constellations or identify them, if you're going, I always thought that was Ursa Major, but I've never been sure. It is indeed Ursa Major. And since there's Ursa Major, which is also known as the Big Dipper, Ursa Minor is nearby. And we know that Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, pour water onto Draco. That's not Draco, that's Hydra. Where is Draco? Because they pour water onto Draco's tail. And so that's how you can kind of tell where the two dippers are. So yeah, there are all of these little stories that exist in, there we go, there's Draco. Yeah, and so there's Ursa Minor. And then see, there's the tail between the two of them. Very fun app, again, available for free in the App Store with in-app purchases for more features. All right, what's next on your list, Rosemary?
Well, next on my list, Mikah, is something that also involves using your camera, but it involves using your camera and just taking a picture, because visual lookup is built into iOS and it's a really great feature. So I have the Photos app here on my iPhone, and there it is. It's just popped up, and I have a lovely picture of a cat. Her name's Gracie. She's very floofy, and she's in the picture. She's just sort of curled up, sitting on a blanket. She discovered the wonders of heated blankets this weekend, so she was a very happy, snoozy kitty. But there's something very important down here at the bottom. There is that little eye bubble. Now this is almost like Mikah's ... in a circle button. This is one of my favorite buttons because this button lets you get more info, and we can see, if you're watching the video, there's some little sparkles on it, and if I tap on that, I can see it says lookup cat. Now, of course, you would expect this to just look up cats and come back with like domestic cat, right? No, it's attempted to identify Gracie and figure out what kind of cat she is. So Gracie is very, very floofy. And when I say very, very floofy, I'm pretty certain that there is more floof than cat on Gracie. She is adorable. And so it's guessed, and it thinks that she's a Maine Coon. Now, I'm guessing it thinks she's a Maine Coon because there is no context of scale here, and Gracie's very, very small. So she's definitely not a Maine Coon, but she may have Maine Coon in her genetics. It's also suggesting Siberian cat, but this can be used for a whole bunch of things. It's not just for identifying pets. Also, if you tap on the thing in the picture, it will give you the option to look it up or add a sticker or whatever if it can't make it into a sticker. But this works for so many different things on your devices. So, of course, this works on the iPhone and the iPad, but it will allow you to identify plants, flowers, pets, and animals. And it can even identify specific kinds of cats, specific cats that you have tagged with your within your albums as well. So you can find all the pictures of those. But I just find this to be very useful. And I feel like using the accessibility things built into your phone is actually a great little reference hack. You know, if you want to measure something, sure, Measure app is not going to be the most accurate app in the solution in the world. You probably want a laser measure or a tape measure to be super accurate. But for ballparking, that this thing is, I don't know, approximately 3 meters by 5 meters. So like 9.5 feet by 15 feet or so, then it's pretty useful. So yeah, check out the features built into your iPhone and iPad for all of those references.
Nice. Lastly, I've got some quick mentions for you. The first one is for Wikipedia, which of course is the online encyclopedia that is filled with loads of great information. The Wikipedia app not only lets you search for Wikipedia articles, but it also has a nice main page where each day there's a new featured article. So in this case, it's Hurricane Erika from 2003. You could learn about that. You can see the top reads for the day. And so here I can see that Animal 2023, which I had not heard about, is currently the top read on English Wikipedia. YouTube is second. And then also the film Godzilla -1 ranks on the list. You also get a picture of the day. I also love the on this day area where you can learn about what else might have happened, including that 6 years ago today, the International Olympic Committee banned Russia from competing at the 2018 Winter Olympics for doping at the 2014 Winter Olympics. And in 2014, which was 9 years ago, Exploration Flight Test 1, the first flight test of Orion, was launched. You can also learn about 50 other historical events. I assume they're ranked by, how long ago they were. Can we not talk about how 2005 was 18 years ago? My God, that's rude. That's wild. Anyway. Oh my gosh, that's horrifying. 2005 was 18 years ago. Anyway, you can also, they've got places, and then my favorite section, which is the random article section. I could tap at any time to get another random article, like learning about Aurora, New Orleans, which is a little neighborhood in New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's see there's not much about it. I'm going to hit the randomizer again and see what else we have. Foremost power. The term foremost power has been used by political scientists and historians to describe the allegedly greatest power in the world or in a given region during a certain period of history. So who is the foremost power? That's interesting. And there's a kind of graph that looks at how this has changed over time, and who ends up being the superpower. And right now, the USA is kind of tied with Western, or at least the last time this chart was created, the USA was tied with Western Europe, and China was on the rise. And I could keep going. This is the problem. I'm not going to sit here and look at all of these, but that's one of my favorite things about Wikipedia is the random article feature. But at any time, if someone says something, you can, type in and learn a bit about it. So if someone's talking about beavers, for example, and you're certain that beavers don't... I'm trying to think of something that someone might have started. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That beavers
don't jump upside down and hop on their heads.
Correct. Yes. If someone asserts that does not happen, you could always look at the Wikipedia article to see if that does happen. Or maybe they say, I think beavers are awake during the day most of the time. No, turns out they're mainly nocturnal. So they spend the daytime in their shelters.
They don't give a damn.
Rosemary, you have another app to go along with this.
Yeah. So my favorite Wikipedia app is Wikipanion. And one of the reasons why I love Wikipanion is obviously it integrates with Wikipedia, allows you to search Wikipedia, get random articles, see the homepage, bookmark things, you name it. Everything that Wikipedia can do, Wikipanion can do, and more. But I love the fact that I can add more wikis to Wikipanion. So there's an Apple wiki, there's a Minecraft wiki, there's a Marvel wiki, there's a Linux wiki, there's a Harry Potter wiki, a Grand Theft wiki, Final Fantasy, there's Wikipedia, there's wikiHow, Memory Alpha, there's so many options, the Simpsons wiki, TARDIS, recipes, and so on. And I can add these wikis. So I'm going to add Wikipedia to this. And these are just the English options, to be clear. If I wanted something in another language, and I'm sad to report that Klingon is not available, but I'll switch to, or I'll add German as a second option and just see if it has any more. It doesn't appear to have any more right now. But I also love that I can specify in the Wikipanion settings what languages I speak, and therefore get pages back for both of those, and also just switch between the two. So I can see the main project page, the main homepage of Wikipedia in German, for example. And if I'm on an article with a German translation, I can see that. If I go to an article that's in German, I can switch to the English version, if there is one. There isn't always, folks. Fun fact, there are not always, parallel articles about everything in all the languages on Wikipedia. I love Wikipanion. It's great. And there's another app that I also like called WikiHow. I know I can add the WikiHow stuff into Wikipanion, but sometimes if I want to look something up on how to do something, I'll just open WikiHow and search for it, and there'll be, pictures and a guide. It may not be the best guide in the world, but it'll probably help me solve things like that time that I got locked out of my own suitcase because the lock got bumped in transit and I had to reset it. And so I was able to solve that thanks to WikiHow.
Nice. I'm glad. On my end, one other quick mention is for IMDb. It is the Internet Movie Database, and this is probably the one that is most likely to be used for me during the holidays, because inevitably we'll end up talking about some sort of show or movie, or basically any sort of entertainment content, and somebody's going, "Who was in that again? Who was that? Oh, I think it was," and I just type in whatever the show happens to be in the search, and it will tell me the cast, the crew, the everything in between. So Rosemary's going to show us what IMDb looks like if you haven't downloaded it. But basically, you can type in a title, and in this case, The Grinch. And what is great is that you can scroll down and you can show the cast. So it'll have the cast where you tap see all, and then you can quickly see who is in the film. You can sort it by credit order or by alphabetized. And then what I love is, let's just tap on somebody, maybe somebody who's near the top, who's probably been in many things, and yes, like Angela Lansbury, who is wonderful. And if we scroll down just a hair, we'll see what she's known for underneath all of these ads, which is why Rosemary's going to show us another app soon. So the shows that she's known for based on what they feel, and then also all of the other stuff she's been in. So a bunch of stuff, as you might imagine. I really like that section because it helps me quickly go, oh, right, that's where I've seen this person before. With Angela Lansbury, I know Angela Lansbury, but occasionally you'll get an actor who you don't necessarily know their name, or even after you see their name, you're going, I don't really. You look at that section, you go, right, I saw them in this film, I saw them in this show, this is where they came from. So IMDb is great for just learning what actors, like what are the stuff they've been in, and also, maybe you do want to know about cast and crew, the director of the film, whether films they've directed. Occasionally it'll have even more information like the budget for the film, what year it was produced, all sorts of stuff. Love IMDb, but one thing about IMDb that you'll have noticed is that as Rosemary was scrolling through, it was showing a bunch of ads, and those ads are huge, honking ads in between everything. And an annoyance that I have with IMDb is occasionally when I'm trying to be smug and quickly figure out who somebody is before anyone else in the room can, I will launch the app and then it wants me to sign in or create an account. And so it gets in the way, and it's very frustrating. There is a way. Rosemary, tell us the way.
Well, the way is very simple. Don't use IMDb. Use Callsheet. So Callsheet has a number of settings. And I've just gone to settings. If you tap on spoilers, then there's the option to do things like hide cast character names. Have you ever accidentally found out that somebody has a secret evil twin because you were looking at the credits and you saw that it said, Dr. Drake Ramore / the name of whatever Joey Tribbiani's alter ego was in Days of Our Lives when he was on Friends. You can hide the cast episode counts, so you won't accidentally find out that somebody was killed off in season 3. You can hide episode titles and thumbnails. As you toggle these things on and off, it gives you little examples with Johnny Appleseed, who's a botanist and was in 143 episodes of something. I really love that. You can also choose your default sort order and region overrides, and there's persnickety preferences, or pernickety preferences, as we say over here. So you can integrate with Now Playing and stuff like that, which actually I should have that turned on, really. But what I really love is when I search for something. So I'm going to search for The Grinch again. And here's the 2018 Grinch. I can see people and I can see that Benedict Cumberbatch was the Grinch. And he was 42 years old when he did this. And it's one of those things where sometimes you want to know how old an actor was when they did a thing, right? You're trying to figure out, were they 10 or were they 30 pretending to be 10 or something. There was a really good post that went around recently about Derry Girls, about how somebody thought that, all the people in it were about 15 or 16, and it must be really difficult working with child actors. And it turns out they're all in their 30s. And it's just makeup and costuming and so on. And I thought that was amazing. And so being able to find out, all of this stuff is really cool. And you can pin it so that you can easily pop back to it later. And if you want more information, obviously you can also see the crew, then you can tap on the speech bubble and it will open the IMDb page for you onto the trivia so that you can see all of that. And if you tap on the more, then you can get parental guidance and technical details, again, from IMDb. There's a Wikipedia. You can go to the official website, and you can also see where to watch it, which is provided by Just Watch. And I really love this. So if you're trying to figure out where you can watch a film, then you can find out, if you've got subscription programs. Okay, so if I'm subscribed to Netflix, I can watch it on Netflix. If I just want to rent it, I can rent it on Apple TV, Google Play, Amazon Video, YouTube, Microsoft Store, Sky Store, Rakuten. Wow. And if I want to buy it, turns out I can buy it at the same places I can rent it. But I love Callsheet. It's made by a friend of Mikah's and mine, Casey Liss, who makes lots of little great apps and works really hard at making each app just into the best thing it can be. And it doesn't have ads everywhere. And honestly, that's the best part, because especially when the ads contain, a trailer that autoplays and it's a spoiler for something, and you just don't want that in your life. Imagine the final episode of a TV show that you were really looking forward to. So, for example, Attack on Titan. I know a lot of people were very much anticipating that final episode. Imagine you hadn't got to watch it and you opened IMDb and it just kind of autoplayed a clip of it at you and it spoiled it. That would be awful. And this is why I use Callsheet, because then I don't have those spoilers.
Alrighty, folks. That's going to bring us to the end of this segment, all about reference apps that can help you find information you need, or be smug in sharing information with others, or be cool in sharing information with others. Any of those will work. Of course, as always, I invite you to let us know about the reference apps you are using, because there are a lot out there, and we may have missed something that you think is great. So you can email us iOStoday@twit.tv. All right, we're going to take another quick break before we come back with the news, head into Shortcuts Corner, and the rest of the show. After that, the next sponsor of the show is Mylio. That's who's bringing you this episode of iOS Today. We have become big fans of Mylio photos, and right now, for a limited time, Mylio is offering a holiday gift bundle. Ring-a-ding-ding, which means it's the perfect time to get started. The holiday gift bundle includes 1 full year of Mylio Photos Plus, easy-to-use editing software Radiant Photo, and premium membership to the photographer community platform Viewbug. Mylio Photos recently dropped the year's biggest update, offering even more customization, accessibility options, and control over how you handle your digital libraries. Mylio Photos Plus offers even more by letting you connect all of your devices and take full advantage of the new shared albums and spaces tools to share your media with customized control and privacy. I think Mylio Photos is great because what it lets me do is collect all of my photos from online in one place. I know that all of my Instagram photos, all of the Apple photos I've uploaded, all of my Amazon photos, Google photos, even stuff that maybe I've stored in some random cloud storage locker online, I'm able to get all of that and have it in this one library. And then from there, have it show up on all of my different devices. And when I make edits, they sync. And when I make changes to how they're stored or collected and organized, they sync. That's what makes Mylio Photos so awesome. And this newer feature, Spaces, lets you sort and organize files into subject-specific views. So you can have views like family, work, personal, and private, and then you can even create custom spaces for whatever you want. This opens the door for more productive collaborations with your team, or automatically sharing photos with family members signed into the account. And with remote control, you have full control over what's visible and which tools are available on each device connected to your account, no matter who it is. It's perfect for work portfolios, managing project assets, or even personal organization. You can even use Mylio Photos for free on one device. So, get 25% off your first year of Mylio Photos Plus today for a limited time. Check out the holiday gift bundle for even more great deals by going to our special URL, mylio.com/twit25 for your 25% discount. That's mylio.com/twit25. So download Mylio Photos Plus for free right now at mylio.com/twit25. And our thanks to Mylio for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. All right, we are back from the break, and there are some news stories. First and foremost, I wanted to let everybody know that some of the Apple TV apps we were told would be releasing are starting to appear. Zoom, for example, now has an Apple TV app. You may remember that Apple announced a new feature that would allow you to use your Apple TV paired with an iPhone or an iPad to serve as the camera and essentially let you take video calls, including FaceTime, from your Apple TV. When they announced the feature, FaceTime was, of course, the built-in option, but they said that third-party apps like Zoom would eventually give you the ability to do Zoom calls. Zoom does now have an app for the Apple TV. It's called Zoom for Home, and you are able to connect and use Zoom with your iPhone serving as your camera. So pretty cool for folks who, maybe especially during the holidays are wanting to call home and have everybody be involved. This is a way to make that happen. And then VPN apps are starting to roll out as well in the App Store, the Apple TV App Store. That was a new feature that Apple added to tvOS, the ability for VPNs, and a sponsor on the network, ExpressVPN. That's truly, to this day, the VPN that I use, even separate from them having sponsored the show. ExpressVPN now has an Apple TV app, so you are able to download and install that on your Apple TV. And this is great if you use your Apple TV to watch content and you want to see content that doesn't exist in your location more than anything else. That's really what it's for. I guess if you, God forbid, somehow did some sort of shopping on your Apple TV, then it could protect you in that case. But yeah, I think this is really for folks who are wanting to appear as if they're in Australia so that they can watch certain Australian shows, which is not something I speak of from experience at all. Let's move along to talk about, I wanted to quickly mention this. Julia Louis-Dreyfus just was announced as the individual who received the Apple Podcast Show of the Year. So Wiser Than Me is Julia Louis-Dreyfus's show that is talking to Jane Fonda and I think many other people, if I'm not mistaken. But it's essentially a conversation where, let's see. I had just read about this. So over the course of the show's 10 episodes, accomplished actor and comedian Louis Dreyfus employs her signature wit to mine priceless nuggets of advice from women who have lived long enough and well enough to truly have perspective on it all. Okay, so I should have doubted myself. I thought, I'm pretty sure Jane Fonda was just in the early episode and that she continued to talk to other people, and that is the case. So she talks to lots of folks over the course of the season, and it has been named the 2023 Show of the Year for Apple Podcasts. So congratulations to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who I think is one of the most funny people in existence. She is pretty incredible. All right. I think we kind of need to move through this. So I also wanted to mention that there was apparently a string of thefts at a nursery in Newport Beach, California. And by nursery, I don't mean children. I mean plants. It is a plant nursery. And a bunch of these plants were stolen. And so what ended up happening was the nursery dropped AirTag trackers into the plants since the thief had stolen thousands of dollars in goods over several weeks. And the police arrived at the location and they found what they called a, quote, sanctuary of stolen greenery. Every single thing in his front yard was like our pots, our fountain, our plants, the entire front yard, a bench from out front. The entire front yard was basically decorated with our stuff that we were missing. So the authorities recovered more than $8,000 worth of items and now faces 4 felony grand theft charges. Who knew that stealing from a nursery could result in 4 grand theft charges? That's a lot of money that has to be involved.
I guess he better bed down and sprout some roots because I guess he's not going to be going anywhere for a while.
I am
sorry. I had to, Mikah. I had to try and get that in for you.
All right, moving right along. Still, Apple in.
Mikah, you just said I am leaving.
Oh, I am leafing.
Okay, I was just.
If anyone else wants to groan along with me, thank you. Apple is marking World AIDS Day. This was an announcement on December 1st. Actually, no, this just ended. I thought that it was still going on. So today, December 1st through December 4th, there were a series of proceeds. What was new this year, and the reason why I wanted to bring it up, is that Apple added in-app purchases as a means of making donations to the Global Fund. So I thought that was cool. I imagine they'll continue to do that next year, and we may even see more apps that are added to that category. So when you make in-app purchases in those apps, it would make a donation. And then last but not least, Rosemary, you added this story, so why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so Apple has released a film. And yeah, you're probably thinking, cool, Apple have got Apple TV. Of course they're releasing films. And this is in partnership with Taika Waititi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But it's specifically a film promoting speech accessibility tools. Yeah, it was released, I believe, last Thursday, and it tells the story of a character's search for his lost voice. And it's promoting personal voice and live speech features, which are included in the latest versions of iOS and macOS. And it's a children's story narrated by Dr. Tristram Ingham. And honestly, I just love the fact that this exists. There's a whole bunch of people out there who feel like they're underrepresented. And there's a whole bunch of people that don't know about the really great accessibility features built into all of our devices. And I think that it would be lovely if people spent a little bit of time watching this short film or reading the ebook, where the story is available in it's got words and illustrations. It is, of course, as I said, a children's film, so it's a children's story, and it was released December 3rd for International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So yeah, I think that this I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm very excited to. And Shelley Brisbane, who is a huge voice in the Mac and iOS accessibility community and has got a great book on accessibility with iOS, which anybody who's vaguely interested should definitely check out, wrote about this over on Six Colors. So I believe she's already got to see it and really enjoyed it and would highly recommend it.
Wonderful. All righty, folks. That brings us out of the news segment into feedback and questions. Alex writes in, "Hi, Mikah and Rosemary. I know iOS 17 brings continuity camera to macOS, and newer iPad Pros now allow you to use an external camera in iPadOS 17. But I was wondering if there's any way to use my iPhone as a camera for my iPad Pro. Maybe a little silly, why not just use your iPhone instead in that case? But I was just curious if you knew of any way to do this. Thank you, and keep up the great work. Alex." So basically, I want my iPad to be the device that is capturing the camera, and I want my iPhone to be the camera that is the camera. So is this possible with the iPad? I think that...
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do we need? We need a third-party app, right?
Yeah, so I think probably the best way to go about this is using something like Orion, which is an app that you can download for free. It's got a small in-app purchase. And what you'll need to use it with it is a USB-C HDMI receiver dongle. And then from your iPhone, you'll need to do a HDMI out to connect that into your iPad. So you'll plug your iPhone into your iPad. If you've got an iPhone 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max like myself and Mikah do, then it's much easier. You can use a USB-C to HDMI cable. But if you do that, then you can capture the input on the iPad and then use screen sharing to share that as your camera. But other than that, I'm not actually 100% certain if there is a way to just use your iPhone as a web camera. I did find a little guide that shows you how you can use Epoch Cam and IV Cam, but I've not used either of those myself, so I'm not sure how well I could recommend doing that as an option. Whereas I have used Orion and also the Elgato alternative for that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure how exactly you would do it other than using something like Orion or Elgato ScreenLink.
It's kind of odd, right? Because doing it on a Mac is so easy with Apple Silicon. So given that the iPad is Apple Silicon, the iPhone is Apple Silicon, that part of it would make it a little bit easier that we could all kind of interoperate. But I think that there's something to Apple wanting to suggest that the camera that's built into the iPad is well worth using, and that you don't need an external camera necessarily. But yes, we do have the ability to now plug in an external webcam to the iPad. So why not be able to use the iPhone as that? That's
I mean, you can
interesting.
use a Game Boy camera, so why
Yes,
couldn't you use an iPhone?
Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
The next.
So my suggestion,
please.
as a side note for Alex, in the meantime, is to just, for example, if it's a meeting that you're doing, join the meeting on both devices, and then use your iPhone as the camera and your iPad as the other device, and
that's
just
a good
mute
idea.
yourself on one of those devices and mute the output of that same device, so that you don't get a horrible feedback loop. So that could work, and you could even use that little Belkin accessory that you can buy that MagSafes onto the back of an iPhone to balance the iPhone on top of an iPad. I have done that before, not for this purpose, but for getting my iPhone in standby mode on top of an iPad.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Robert has written in and says this: no questions, but I want to pay the pet tax anyway since there is another Chihuahua person on the show. These are my two rescues. I'm going to go with Q, which is CU, and Bambi, brother and sister. I've had them 11 years. Both have heart conditions, but with medications, they're still going strong. That is one thing about Chihuahuas. They will live forever. Official portraits taken with iPhone 15 Pro. The ERS case Rosemary talked about with the kickstand she highlighted, I use, and I give it 5 stars. And then Robert continues that Robert grew up in the KC area, which I'm from the KC area, Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Kansas. And in the early 60s, the baseball games of the week were blacked out because we have the KCAs then. So we put an antenna just to get KFEQ Channel 2 and Channel 13 in Topeka. I know of Topeka, Kansas, to get to see the weekend games. The pictures would fade in and out, and we had snow and ghosts. But I love they say, ask Leo what those were. I know what snow and ghosts are. But most of the time we could see the games. Great show. Always learn new things. So can you show us the photos of Q? And oh my goodness. Now that's a little blueberry muffin
cute.
Chihuahua.
So cute.
They say that because the very dark eyes of the Chihuahua kind of resemble blueberries in a muffin. And so if you kind of look, it's almost as if the head is just a cute little blueberry muffin. Oh my good. Okay, so this is definitely an elder Chihuahua. You can tell, mostly because the tongue is hanging out of the mouth.
I think Bambi's. I'm assuming this is Bambi. I think Bambi's just being cute for the camera.
Oh, is
posing.
that what we're doing? Is that what we're going with?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're both adorable.
They are.
They're lovely Chihuahuas, and I greatly appreciate Robert for sending in pet tax just for appreciating the show. That was
very
you're more than
kind,
welcome
Robert.
to send us pet tax, even though you don't have a question. Please feel free, and especially this time of year, any seasonal pictures of your pets. Hanging it up in a Christmas hat on the beach in Australia,
We'd
for
love
example, or out in the snow. Maybe not a snake or reptile out in the snow. I hear they don't
that's
like
not
cold.
necessarily great for them.
Yeah, but
The second one, whose tongue is hanging out, reminds me of the Chihuahua I had growing up, who had just the biggest ears and was just the tiniest little thing. And yeah, they both warm my heart so much, Robert. So thank you for sharing Q and Bambi. They're so cute. And I wish many long years yet with them. All right, folks, with that, I believe I can hear the music. It's time for App Caps. This, of course, is the part of the show where we place caps atop our heads or somewhere near us to honor our app and or gadget picks of the week. These are the apps and or gadgets that we are using now or have been using for some time that we think are great, and therefore we want to share them with you. And also, we are capping off the end of the show. So that's another reason we call it the App Cap segment. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the delightful cap atop your head, and then tell us about your app or gadget pick of the week.
Well, the cap atop my head is very much designed to pull the outfit together. I am actually wearing, you may not have seen it during the show, so I'm going to pull up the logo now. I'm wearing a Santa Squad hoodie. Yay.
Nice.
I'm officially on the Santa Squad. I organize Secret Santa at work. I am a Christmas elf. I bring joy and cheer to everybody. That's the idea. So my headband, which there's a very good reason for a headband. It's a green headband. It's got a little green elf hat with some red ribbon around it, a little red sort of brim, and some red pom-pom, fake Maribow in front of that, a little jingly bell right on top. And of course, I'm wearing some Christmas bow earrings, which unfortunately they're sort of pink. I expected them to be a bit more red, but whatever. They're lovely, and I'm enjoying them. And my gadget pick this week is something that I picked. I recently got a piercing in my inner ear, and because of that, I'm struggling a little bit wearing two AirPods or AirPod Pros because they sit in the ear, and my ear is not yet healed enough to just like move the earring out the way and jam an AirPod in behind it, which, you know, it will be in a couple of months, but not right now. But I still want to listen to my music, and I don't necessarily want to wear like big, massive over-ear headphones. And so I've been looking for options. And there are lots of options out there, but I've been doing some research, and I settled on picking up these. Now, these are the True Free O1 open ear headphones. So I'm just going to pop one on get one out of the case. So these are quite large. Just to be clear, I do have my AirPods Pro case here for size comparison. So, you know, I can fit two AirPods Pro cases into this case. But there's a good reason for that, because when I get it out of the case, these are a two-parter. So there's the part that sits behind your ear. That's a small vertical rectangle. And then there's the part that sits sort of in front of on your ear. And I can just pop this on. Now, I'm wearing glasses and I'm wearing an elf headband, okay? And this just sits on my ear, and I've been wearing these like all day for the last couple of days, and they don't hurt. They're very, very comfortable. And I can just pop this on my ear and I can hit play on some music. And I have tested this with a couple of different people with varying levels of hearing ability. And people, unless I crank the volume up really loud, cannot hear the music that's playing. But the beauty of these is, first of all, they sit on my ear rather than in my ear. I know some people have difficulties with in-ear headphones. My difficulty, of course, is temporary, but some people just don't like that. Some people wear hearing aids, so they can't do that. These are $60, but they're 25% off on Amazon. But they just sit on your ear, and you can play music through them. They've got a microphone built in, so you can make phone calls or attend virtual meetings, and so on. And they are just on-ear headphones. And I have to say, I really like them. I found them to be very comfortable. They're very affordable. And I love the fact that I can wear them paired to my Apple TV, for example. So if I'm, you know, popping in and out of the living room and there's stuff cooking in the kitchen, I'll hear the HomePod when it goes off because I've not got noise cancelling on by accident. That's happened a few times that I've missed timers going off and come back to very, very, very mushy pasta. Whoops. And you know, if you're wearing them out and about, you'll be able to hear cars and things like that when you're, going around town or anything like that. On-ear headphones, which don't block the noise. Now, that may seem like the opposite of what some people want, but I have to say that these are really comfortable. I got them from Amazon after doing quite a bit of research. They had a lot of good reviews, and they are really, really comfy. So, yeah. True Free O1 open ear headphones, $60, but 25% off on Amazon. Great for things like running or going around the house or whatever. And I believe there's also an Amazon Prime deal available. Take advantage if that's something you're interested in.
Those are very cool.
They're so comfy.
I was going to say that the comfort, especially on my end, I'm wearing a cap that I believe was actually like hand painted because there's spray paint on the inside of it as well. It's sort of a blue, orange, gray, like newsboy style cap. And it's kind of metallic-y. It's kind of cool. Maybe I'd wear this not even just for the show. The app that I want to talk about today is an app called Chapter. And it is a remembrance app. It is a way to set up a location that people can come together and share their memories of a person. So what you do, this is for someone who's passed away. What you do is you create a chapter and then you invite people to the chapter. So I am going to create a new chapter here. And this app, by the way, is available for free, no ads or anything even within the app. And we'll give them a name. I'm going to go with the name that I used before and see if it lets me. I'll spell it a little bit differently this time. So Mike Sargentson, who was born on October 4th of October 4th of 1986 and who passed on December 5th, 2023. And then we'll tap continue. And then you are able to add a photo of them. And then afterwards, you give a little bit of text about them. So Mike was a wonderful person with a lot of love in their heart. And then a URL, which in this case, I guess we'll just link to Twit, because you do have to have a URL of some sort. And then you can choose to have it public so that it's viewable and able to be followed by anyone, and then you have options for who can actually post or who are allowed to, approve others to post, or you can set it private, which is that it's findable, but people have to request to join. I'll just make this public for the sake of understanding. And then you invite people, which you can do by tapping on the invite button and then sharing that way. Or you can copy the link to share and then share it out. And then afterward, what people can do is open the thing and they can add. You can record a memory, so you can share a story using video or audio. So I'll tap continue. Yes, I'll give you access to the camera. Yes, I'll give you access to the microphone. And so maybe I would want to say, oh, I remember Mike, this was, we had many great years together, or we could just do audio. And once again, Mike was unique among others, so great, so awesome, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have it, you can play it back, you can give it a title, and we'll call this Remembering Mike, and then publish that. And now anyone who has access to this will be able to see those memories and add their own. So over time, this chapter gains a whole lot of stories, a whole lot of contributions. I just think it's a really neat app that is something that needs to exist separate from social media, because there are apps like Facebook that give you the memorial option. But I like that this is just a purpose-built app specifically for collecting and sharing memories of a person who's passed away. Again, available completely for free in the App Store. No in-app purchases, no ads, as you've seen. So you can check out Chapter, which is available for iPhone and iPad. Folks, that is going to bring us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. Please email us if you have questions, comments, concerns, etc. iOStoday@twit.tv is the email. You can tune in to watch the show live if you'd like. If you go to twit.tv/live, and then you'll find a link to our YouTube stream where you can watch it if you're not a club member as we are recording the show. If you are a club member, you can kind of watch it as we get set up, as we take things down afterward. I'll talk about that in a moment. But we do record the show live every Tuesday around about 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. You can subscribe to the show so that it's available to you, and it's beautifully published or beautifully edited by Kevin and put together version by going to twit.tv/iOS. When you go there, you will see links to subscribe to audio or subscribe to video, and you'll have the option to choose whichever provider you happen to use: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you happen to get your shows. That's how you make it happen. And again, we do have both audio and video versions of the show. So whichever way you like to listen, that is how we want to meet you. I mentioned the club. Twit.tv/clubtwit is the link to join the club for $7 a month, $84 a year. When you join the club, you help support everything we do here. You get every single show ad-free because you are helping to support us. So all of the content, none of the ads. You also gain access to the members-only Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else. Behind the scenes, before the show, after the show, special Club Twit events get published there. So when you join, surprise, surprise, you're going to get a huge catalog of great stuff that you haven't been able to see thus far, as well as access to the Club Twit Discord server, a fun place to go to chat with your fellow Club Twit members and also those of us here at Twit. $7 a month, $84 a year, twit.tv/clubtwit. You also gain access to exclusive shows that are only available to Club Twit members. There's the Untitled Linux Show, which is a show all about Linux. There is Hands on Windows from Paul Thurrott that covers Windows tips and tricks. There's Hands on Mac from me, Mikah Sargent, that covers Apple tips and tricks. And there is, I am forgetting, thank you, Home Theater Geeks from Scott Wilkinson, which is a show all about the home theater. There are interviews, reviews, your questions answered, as well as AI Inside from Jason Howell that has all you need to know about artificial intelligence. So head to twit.tv/clubtwit to check that out. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, where should they go to do so?
Well, the best place is over at rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to books, apps, podcasts, and of course, all of my social media pages as well, where you can find me, and also in the Club Twit Discord, hanging out often in the live chat during the show. Keeping an eye on that iOS Today forum so that I can see what our Club Twit members are talking about there. What about you, Mikah?
You can find me at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. That's that. So check us out and be sure to subscribe to the show, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of iOS Today. Bye-bye.
Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here. In case you hadn't heard, Home Theater Geeks is back. Each week, I bring you the latest audio-video news, tips and tricks to get the most out of your AV system, product reviews, and more. You can enjoy Home Theater Geeks only if you're a member of Club Twit, which costs $7 a month, or you can subscribe to Home Theater Geeks by itself for only $2.99 a month. I hope you'll join me for a weekly dose of home theater geekitude.